allegedly Morning Brew. They're probably like one of the biggest newsletters I know. I think they have about 4 million subscribers. They charge 20 to 100,000 per ad placement, and these big brands like Meta, HubSpot can pay for that, and their average CPM is $30 to $100. If they have like a 40% open rate with 4 million subs, that's like 48K minimum per ad with like a $30 CPM. So like there's a lot of money to be made in the newsletter world, especially if you have a lot of subscribers from this. Because I noticed like when working with brands with design buddies, they get really excited about my newsletter the most, and my Discord more so than my LinkedIn or Instagram, which has more followers. Oh my god, fireworks. Yo, Justin, how many newsletters are you subscribed to?
I honestly could not even tell you. There's so many that hit my inbox like every day. It's kind of ridiculous.
What makes you subscribe to a newsletter, and why you subscribe to so many that you lost count? Literally same. I can't even lose track. I lost track of how many people like put their how many newsletters I'm subscribed to as well. But yeah, I feel like there's so many dark patterns, especially like if you open up like a new like e-commerce website, they'll tell you to give your email for like 10% off or something like that. And also like when you go to like in-person events at these booths, they make you subscribe to get like free samples. So I think we're all a victim of people like milking newsletters, because honestly, like I think like literally like everybody and their dogs are starting a newsletter. Um they always say that you don't own your audience, like LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, it could all go down one day. Like TikTok almost got shut down. People are freaking out. You don't own your audience. So that's why it's important to collect emails. But I think people have been email maxing. But I also think newsletters could be a really lucrative business. Like Morning Brew, is one that I've been subscribed to for a couple of years. One probably a lot of people know. If you don't, it's like mostly like tech and political news. A lot of tech news. It's like very US centric. It started with Alex Lieberman when he was in college. Like talking to everybody in his class, like going to classes and like hand collecting emails from everybody in the class, and kind of growth hacking that. But he's like making millions of dollars from his newsletter too. And I think newsletters, if done right, if done not spammy, can be a super lucrative business. And I know on the other podcast they're talking about how Lenny, he started his newsletter and is making like $3 million a year. So yeah, there's like, I feel like there's like the spammy newsletters where you just get random product updates of products you forgot you're subscribed to, um as well as like really good like information dense newsletters. So I'm also curious, like out of all the newsletters you're subscribed to, do you actively read any of them?
So I used to pay attention to Morning Brew all the time, right? Like I was subbed to them when I was in college. I think probably sophomore year of college. So that's, I don't know, 2016, which kind of sounds ridiculous to talk about. That's almost 10 years ago. That's disgusting. Actually, now that I say that out loud. Um, but it's like I think they're now like a 75, or they sold for 75 million back in 2020. And so I wonder how much they are at right now. Like I would assume they're in that 100 to 200 million dollar range. Um if they're still going the same sort of trajectory as they were back in when I was in college. But do I pay attention to any newsletters? I think a lot of the creator economy stuff I do take a look at, but the issue with it is it's like all the same stories within all these
Mm-hmm.
same newsletters, right? So like you've got the Colin and Samir one, which I think they do a really good job of trying to make theirs at least look different from the other ones, published press. And then you've got Brett Deshevsky's one. You've got what's another one that I see pop up on my,
Creator
I don't know. There's a
Spotlight
few
from
other ones.
Beehive.
Curator Spotlight, yeah, right, from
Mm-hmm.
Beehive, but they all kind of do the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you. I think newsletters are a great business. People open up their newsletters. I don't know how well they do from a like click through rate and a spending standpoint, but apparently they must be because brands spend a lot of money on email marketing. So I don't know. What do you pay attention to in the sort of email world of things?
I also read a lot of marketing and creator economy newsletters like Publish Press. I read almost everyone actually. I really like Brett's newsletter, Creator Economy NYC as well. I like Morning Brew during COVID when I had more time on my hands because I was spending a lot of time at home. I was reading like Morning Brew, The Hustle, The Information, deep dives about like startups. There's another one. I just can't remember. It was so long ago, but I remember like when I would work out, I would like go on my spin bike and just like newsletter max. I would just like try to understand more like newsletter stuff. So I read like a lot. Oh, there's one news I really like called Creator Economy by Peter Yang. Another Creator Economy one by Derek. They deep dive into like creator economy stuff in like psychology and business and trends and flywheels and business strategies that I really liked. Um, but I'm also like the reason why I brought up newsletters is I feel like there's an opportunity for us to like do the deep dives as you were mentioning to me before we recorded is you want to do like deep dives into creators while cooking. And in our podcast you also want to highlight like lesser known creators and how they're making money, like a big business. And I think that's like a like huge like market opportunity for that too, especially in the newsletter world. And for design buddies, I've been writing more articles about like design and tech news and how why people should care as my like TLDR, I was having a little crash out earlier as my like foray into no more like get a job content because like I want to cry if I have to post it again.
No, yeah. So I
Yeah.
think there definitely is a market for it. There's this guy I've been paying attention to a little bit. His name's Ryan. I think it's Ryan too. It could be Ryan Toe. I'm not sure how to
Oh
pronounce his last
yes, I
name.
know Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Ryan's stuff is really good. He has his newsletter, The Creatorverse, that I just started looking into, and I think he does a really good job of like breaking down businesses and things like that. Um, Again, there's a lot of space still, I would say, in this world, and I think the unique thing right now is how do you get your newsletter to not look like AI? No doubt are people using
Mm.
AI right to write these things, but the question, right, is I think AI levels the playing field, but if you are able to rise to the top of whatever that playing field that you're playing in is, and you're able to show that it seems like a person is talking on the other end, I think you win like crazy right now. And
Mhm.
so there are definitely a ton of more newsletters that are popping up because of AI, but they all feel and look the same. So the question is like, if we were to do one for how creators make money, is how do we differentiate ourselves? I think the creator deep dives for sure. Um, but again, to that positioning point, which I'll talk about later, how do we make ourselves stand out and not just be another newsletter in the world?
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I feel like I would never outsource my writing to AI because I feel like to write is like to think. It helps you like think deeper as a person. And it's sad to see all this like AI garbage pop up. I mean, I do use AI to like help give me feedback on what I can expand on, like feedback on my writing, but I would never outsource my thinking because I think writing is thinking. Um, yeah, I definitely think there's a way we could like definitely like the creator deep dives, maybe like I feel like we also jamming about like a creator salary database, like resources, and resources to grow as a creator, like resources we found, like creator tools. That's like design tools are a big one. I think creator tools could be one too. Like practical advice, like for example, how to start making your first dollar as a creator, or maybe just like I remember like I was like posting some shorts yesterday looking through some of Chris Do podcast, and he gave a lot of like cool tidbits on just like how to make your first $50,000 a creator. So just like taking clips from our own podcast that are like practical tips anybody with any niche um can start on today could be helpful too. And maybe like a community around that too, with like having different newsletter tiers. Like if you
I
want
think
to
it's all
subscribe,
about
yeah.
I think it's all about
Oh,
being
go ahead.
unique, right? Like I think if
Mm-hmm.
we can find a way to combine creator deep dives and design, like for instance, do you know the people at Growth Design? Have you ever seen that done before?
Oh, the Snapchat Bitmojis. I don't know the
Yes,
people
these
there,
people.
but I love. Yeah.
Like I love these things, right? Whenever they
Mm-hmm.
send them out. This was one
Mm-hmm.
of the ones I was able to find quickly, but like this is so different than
Mhm.
anything out there. It's hard to replicate because of, I would assume, how much time and effort goes into one of these things. But it's just a deep dive right into the psychology principles that go into Spotify's Wrapped, right? And I think this is so
Mhm.
fascinating. If we could do something like this that gets sent out, or something, it doesn't have to be like this, right? But like unique in this way, I think it hits so well. Even if you look at like Ryan's content on social, I think that's why he's doing well in the space right now, because no one's content really looks like his. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so I think
Yeah.
a combination of like your design background and like figuring out how to storytell that via the creator deep dives that we want to do. Like imagine
Mhm.
this, but on like Chris Doe's episode or his story. I think that would be so dope.
Mhm. Yeah, 'cause I feel like carousels are low key dead, but I feel like this format would be great carousel to do. But I think
I
carousels
think if
are
we, but I'm saying like you
dead.
send it as an email, right? Like that's the newsletter.
Yeah, like a little infographic
Yeah, exactly,
and
exactly.
visualizing Christo. Yeah, I would love that. To really stand out, and we can highlight more stories of creators, how they're making money, how like living good life and stuff. I like that.
How
And
would
then I feel like
you?
newsletter. Oh, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
No, no, go ahead, go ahead. I was gonna change subject a little bit.
Oh, no, I'm just curious. Like, for all these newsletters, what do you think is like the most popular way they make money?
It's definitely ads, sponsored stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like sponsors and then click through rates. I would say, because
Mm-hmm.
I want to say the average CPM for a newsletter is super high compared to other
Mm-hmm.
platforms. And again,
Mm-hmm.
these are arbitrary numbers and these are old numbers if I remember correctly. But I think like the average YouTube CPM is like $3 to $5. The average newsletter I think is like $10 to $15. That might be higher now,
Mm.
or those things might be higher now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's typically how they monetize. Um, which again, I think that just gets really interesting via scale.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I did some research. I don't know if this is true or not, but allegedly, Morning Brew, they're probably like one of the biggest newsletters I know. I think they have about 4 million subscribers. They charge 20 to 100,000 per ad placement, and these big brands like Meta, HubSpot can pay for that, and their average CPM, which is cost per 1,000 views, is $30 to $100. So, if they have like a 40% open rate with 4 million subs, that's like 48K minimum per ad with like a $30 CPM. So like there's a lot of money to be made in the newsletter world, especially if you have a lot of subscribers in this and like ads and stuff. Because I noticed like when working with brands with design buddies, they get really excited about my newsletter the most, and my Discord more so than my LinkedIn or Instagram, which has more followers, and my newsletter, which has like 25,000 subscribers. On the newsletter. They just get really, really excited because we have like 50% open rate. Um, and people just like that stuff a lot.
Yeah, and I think it gets
Mm.
interesting because theoretically, your team doesn't have to be that big for a newsletter, right? Like you need a writer, a researcher, and then a salesperson, right, to sell the deals on it. Theoretically. And so if you're able, like you don't need 48K per ad per send, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But if you were to get something at that scale, like those numbers get stupid. Because I'd think in the average Morning Brew newsletter, there's probably 2 to 4 different sponsors, right? So every time that they send something, and they send daily across multiple newsletters, they're probably bringing in $50 to $200,000 per email send,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah,
insane
it's
when you think
crazy.
about it, right? Like 5 times a week times 50, that's 250K a week on just one newsletter, $1 million a
Mhm.
month on one newsletter, 12 million a year. And I think they maybe have like 3 or 4 newsletters.
Mhm.
So imagine if you do that on a
Yeah.
bare bones team.
Mm. Yeah, I wonder how big their team is. They also have other newsletters, even more than Martin, like Retail Brew, Money Scoop. Um, and they've expanded to different niches. Crazy, but I feel like it's like that's it's a reasonable amount if they have a lot of employees to pay for. But I wonder, let me see how big Morning Brew's team
Yeah, I'm
is.
looking at it right now. They've got
Yeah.
50 to 200 employees according to LinkedIn.
Oh, okay.
So it's still not massive, right? But
Yeah, it says Morning Brew has over 230 employees according to CNBC. Okay, so they're based in New York City and employ 262 people across 26 states. Hmm. I mean, I feel like that a lot of I can't math in my head, but if they're making about like 500K a day, 2 to 500K a day with all their newsletters and their ads, and they have a lot of employees to pay, I think it kind of like makes sense because their newsletters are really good. They're like really well researched and they're really like to the point. And I'm sure they have a lot of people like doing marketing, doing research, deep dives, and stuff. They're still going on their referral program, which is cool. I think one thing I like admire about them is their referral program. It's like even like any reader can refer their friends and get free swag, and a lot of people refer their friends. Like even in Design Buddies Discord, people were sharing their Morning Brew referral links so they get free swag. They're not even paid, but they're just getting free swag. And I think it's like a good growth hacking tip. Like a lot of people just want free stuff. They don't want money. They just want free stuff, I guess, that yeah, that are just like t-shirts and cups and stuff like that too.
I wonder if we could do an incentive where it's like you get free Notion, right? Instead of like swag, you
Mm.
get free digital products as creators. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That could be really
I
interesting.
like
And then
that.
maybe like the last one, if you can refer 100 people or something, you get like a DJI Osmo or something like that, right? Like a camera, which would be really dope.
Hmm.
But obviously, you'd have to do
Yeah.
like cost per subscriber and make it make sense.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's where my mind goes. I love the business model that Morning Brew built. I don't know if it's replicable at that scale, so to say, but I think you can build newsletter businesses and sell it for like 1 to 10 million. Not easy, but relatively easy.
I'm curious. Like, I know my friend Joseph. He sold his tech pod news. Joseph Choi. He had a tech pod newsletter where she showcased like tech tips, like tech jobs that are open. He sold it to someone. I don't think I don't know. I always like I'm so curious like how much money my friends sell their companies for. But I feel like that's like low key like a personal question. I'm so curious like when Martin Bruce sold, like how much they sell for and like what do you think contributed to their valuation of it being sold?
I think they sold for 75 million. And that
Oh.
was I forgot. I think Business Insider took a majority stake for that 75 million. So I don't think they sold 100% of it, but they sold
Mm.
the majority of it. And so I don't
Mhm.
know what goes into that. I would assume Business Insider just wanted a way to get younger readers into the Business Insider ecosystem. And so that's why I would think, hold on, what is their B2B side? I see an article that
Hmm.
says Morning Brew rebrands as its B2B products grow. What is their B2B product?
I saw Alex Lieberman build like an AI ghostwriter for B2B, but I don't think
Yeah,
it's
because he's
part
like
of it.
he's like their president now. Like he's not day to day anymore.
Mhm. Mm. Yeah, he's
Um,
executive chairman. Like he has story arc.
yeah, I'm trying to see what do they do B2B wise. It just says their B2B product.
Mhm. Hmm.
What is
Maybe they've
morning?
yeah. Yeah, I never saw anything about the B2B side. This is the first time hearing about it too.
Oh, it's a B2B media side. So I think it's just the same thing, but just B2B focused.
So like newsletters, like business news for B2B.
Yeah, Morning Brew is in it. Let me share this. Reading here for those. So for those of you who are listening, check out Spotify or YouTube so you can see a little bit more of what I'm talking about. But this says Morning Brew is an exception. It spawned 7 B2B media offshoots from its general business newsletter in industries marketing, tech, and healthcare. There's an eighth coming soon. This was in 2024, so take it with a grain of salt. Okay, so B2B, it's still the same things, but it's just less focus on B2C audience, more focus on business verticals, I would say, right? Because the average persona that watches or that reads Morning Brew is probably a general business audience, but like for Marketing Brew, it's probably only marketing personas, likely marketing executives. So then they can sell things to those marketing executives. So I think that's what that means. I don't think they
Mm,
have a direct B2B like offer, so to say. It's just more B2B content.
interesting. B2B always makes more money because the big businesses have
Yeah, this
a lot
is
of money to spend.
interesting. But yeah, I don't know. What are
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts on other ways that we can monetize? Because again, you come from the Discord space, right? So there's newsletters, Discord channels. What do you think that looks like for something that we're building around how creators make money? Like, would you want to create a free Discord or would you do more paid?
So in my experience, I think about like a long-term investment and just building a cult with people. And by building a cult, you need to have a shared mission. You need to have a leader. You need to have, and also like for design buddies, I figure out ways for people in our community to connect with each other too and see each other every day. Build a habit, build a cult. We have a mascot, Fluffle, and I guess they see me as a leader. So I'm the cult leader. I'm the bunny god, or some may call me a long bunny. But that's a story for another day. Um, I think like most of my experience has been building a Discord. That Discord has helped build that cult because people can hang out. We have a voice chat. We have all these channels people can talk about. And I see like examples like Colin Samir's published press. I don't see them do like that much sponsored content in there. I think they're mostly just trying to grow, nurture their audience people to like remember them. So when a higher ticket offer comes by, or like they are at an event, or they have some like the creator startup service, the program, when they launch any product, they have people ready to buy. So I kind of view our newsletter and our Discord as like not something I'll make a lot of money from, but like the audience will be like nurtured and ready to buy once you have an offer they could buy out. But for our newsletter for design buddies, I'm trying to like do it twice a week now. So I have Min writing like design career stuff and me writing the industry news. So we're gonna do twice a week to have more sponsorship. So we'll keep updated on that. But I think it'd be great to like maybe start a group chat of content creators, um, and see what they talk about and really like understand what our audience wants and being able to like create content that matches their interests. As a designer myself, I always like try to get feedback and like validate stuff. So that's what I would do, guys. Like maybe just like not instead of a whole on Discord server, just like a group chat of creators and see what they talk about and how we can like incorporate that into our content. And I'm sure like other creators would probably be interested in too. Um, yeah, so like a group chat of creators, see what they jam about.
Yeah, have you seen that trend on LinkedIn where everyone is like starting a private Slack community or like a
Yeah.
newsletter? It seems like I think that could be really interesting. We're like, all right, guys, we're starting a private creator community or private creator group chat. Apply here. We're only accepting 10 at the beginning, but we'll slowly make it bigger and bigger as we get there. Blah 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 blah. That could be interesting to like start it off and kick it off or whatever it may be. But yeah, that trend has been so interesting to
Mm-hmm.
watch because it keeps working for some reason.
Mm-hmm. I've seen it years ago. And I low-key did that for design buddies. But instead I like was not gatekeeping at all. I'm just like, join the world's largest design community. We're the best design community. We're the ultimate number one design community, and I just spammed it everywhere. I feel like with this kind of stuff though, we want to keep it small, and more focused and like high quality people. I'm down to try that too. Create a group chat of creators. But I feel like I'm in too many group chats already. But I feel like this is just like for experimentation purposes. And if it takes off, it takes off. It doesn't, it's fine. But just for like user research purposes and like building our cult, like
Yeah, I think you do
listeners.
that or a Discord, like a
Mm-hmm.
small Discord, just to keep it separate from messages. The hard part, right, is just getting people to respond via Discord. But no, it could be
Mm-hmm.
something that we test. Any other thoughts on like newsletters or these sort of community things that are popping up in the space right now?
I'm curious, like in the newsletters you do read, why do you read them? What's the best part about them? What keeps you engaged?
So for me, it's quick information. I can get like a quick pulse on whatever industry that the newsletter is in. Do I read every single word? No. I look at the headline, see if it's interesting. I'll scroll. If there's an interesting insight, maybe I'll click through to the link or something like that. I think in an ideal world, which I can probably figure out how to set it up now, but I would just get ChatGPT to be able to scrape my top 5, 10 newsletters every morning and be like, okay, what are the insights that I need to pay attention to? What are the insights that don't really matter to me? And then I would actually just use newsletters to create my own newsletter for myself, essentially via
Mm.
ChatGPT. I think that would be an ideal world, which sounds crazy now that I say that out loud.
I feel like we're saturated with content. Because I feel like we had a phase during COVID where people were focused on the curation economy. Like people are just curators. And now I feel like everyone's a curator, or a lot of people on LinkedIn are creators. Just like what you mentioned, I'll start a private group chat. I was also seeing a trend on LinkedIn about like, here's like 5 Series A startup job you should apply to. Here's X number of design jobs. Here's X way to do that. And that one never gets old. Like I literally like posted like here's 25 design job boards, and that post got freaking like in 5 days. I don't know how many views it is now, but checked a couple of days ago. It was at over 100K views and like over 1.1K likes. So I don't know. Like I literally posted that same stuff like 3 times. It always does really well. So honestly, like if I'm looking to get more students for my cohort, I can just post that stuff. Oh,
Well, I
also
think,
like I. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, like, I think we're, to your point, right? Because COVID happened, I think a lot more people got comfortable with creating content and want to be famous, just
Mm-hmm.
because it got easier, right? With like short form content, the changing of algorithms where followers don't really count anymore or don't really matter anymore. But because of that, I think very easily copied content is what is saturated. But things like growth.design aren't, right? Because if you think about it, there hasn't been really many other growth.design copycats because that is hard to actually copy. But
Mm-hmm.
it's very easy to do the low lift sort of growth hacky thing on LinkedIn, which is top 10 jobs in this niche or top 5 tips in this niche, whatever, maybe listicles, right? That's what they used to call it on Facebook, right? When BuzzFeed made it famous. So I think, yes, is the low lift content saturated? 100%, because that's what someone is probably asking ChatGPT to pull out for them, right? But
Mm-hmm.
this sort of high lift stuff, like the creators like Ryan Tu, Growth.design, Chloe Shi, that's why I think their content does so much numbers and stands out so much because you can't just copy that. There's no,
Mm-hmm.
like, ChatGPT is not coming up with that script. You know what I mean? And or that
Yeah.
shot list or anything like that. It might come up with 50, 60% there, but that extra 30, 40% is what really makes that difference in the content today. Because there's so much low crap content out there that if you can figure out
Mm-hmm.
that extra 30%, you're killing it right now.
Yeah, there's so much love for content. It's just so random, but a lot of. Do you know Felix Lee from ADP List?
No, I do not.
Ah, okay. So, spicy boy. Um, so he used to be my friend. this is talking about his content. I think he's one of these curators, but he always goes viral. Like his LinkedIn strategy is like goaded, and he's pivoted his newsletter to like ADP list newsletter that to like AI first designer. He's like following trends and trend hopping and stuff. But he has like 130K on LinkedIn. He most of his posts are curation posts or just like motivational posts for designers, saying like design is not dead, like simple shit like that. And it always goes viral, and I'm like fascinated by that. Um, but this dude is weird. Like he steals content from creators. He also stole content from me. He's also kind of weird to me. Like no hate against ADP list or anything, because I have a lot of people like people who benefit a lot from that company, but how he treated me was like not very nice. Like he used to be my friend, and then he wanted to partner up with me with Design Buddy. So I was like, okay, sure, sounds fun. But he wanted to like pay me $500 a year for to host 24 events on his platform with all the emails he owns for my audience. Promote us every week on our weekly newsletter, like 52 times. Um, and recruit 250 mentors on their platform. Offer the sweet deal of $500 a year. So I turned that down. He blocks me on everything and still promotes ADP lists on Design Buddies like over 1,000 times that I've searched up on Discord. So he's a spicy boy. But I don't know. Like a lot of people in design community like don't like him, but I think I like stalking his like strategies, his growth strategies, because I think they're just like really low lift stuff that can easily go viral, and it's like a lot I can learn from as well. But anyway, spicy boy, LinkedIn creation.
Well, so like I think this is the world of business in a nutshell, right? Like there are things
Yeah.
that always work. Everything does work.
Hmm.
You have to figure out what
Yeah.
works for you, and then B, you have to figure out from a morality standpoint, right? Like where do you stand on whatever it may be, right? Like you could go the coldest water route where you're pitching $70 for 7 posts to creators that have hundreds of thousands of followers. People will say yes to it. Is that morally right? For me, no. But from other businesses, yes. And I think that's just depending on the game that you want to play. I think regardless, it's always about looking at what people are doing and figuring out, A, respecting what they're doing because it's clearly working, but then figuring out if that's something that you want to do or not. And I think that's what you're doing, right? Is like you respect what he does. You might not do it yourself, right? But you can
Hmm.
understand the game that he's playing, and that's how I view life, right? Is life is just a game. You just have to figure out what cheat codes A can you learn, and then B, which ones are you willing to use or not. That's up to you. Some people use others while other people don't use them, and then you can't compare yourself to the people that are willing to use the cheat codes that you're not willing to use because they're playing a completely different game than you.
Hmm. Yeah. It all depends on what you want in life and what your morals and ethics are. Many,
Yeah,
many paths,
exactly.
everyone. Yeah. I also know you want to talk about like positioning yourself and the content you want to make, like the cutting, like the cooking and talking about creators. I want to hear more about that and how you're thinking about that.
Yeah. So like for me, I think the biggest thing when it comes to marketing is positioning. And I think a lot of people don't spend enough time of figuring out what that actually means. And so what I mean by positioning means like if you're trying to be the number one person in one category, it's really hard, right? If you're a content creator, if you want to be the number one lifestyle creator, almost impossible, right? Like it's going to be hard to beat Kai Cenat at Kai Cenat's game, right? Or it takes a really special skill to do that. It's hard to beat Speed at Speed's game. But what people fail to realize is when you combine two, three, four, five different categories and you are a top persona in those categories, you're now, instead of trying to compete with the number one person of one category, you're only competing with yourself. And that allows you to build reputation in one space that you can then take and move into that larger category at the beginning. And if you look at a lot of these creators and you look back, way back, you'll see that that's what they typically did. So, like, for instance, right, KSI, when he was first coming up, everybody knows KSI is this huge content creator, rapper, part of Prime, all these different sort of things, WWE, yada, yada, yada. Um, I've been following KSI at the beginning. And at the beginning, the reason that I came across his content was for this video game FIFA. So within FIFA, KSI was not the number one creator at the beginning. And it was very hard like for him to be the number one, let's call it hardcore FIFA creator, because he wasn't that good. He was good, let's call it top 25% of a FIFA player, but he wasn't like number one or even close to number one. So he had to find a way to differentiate himself. At that time, not many people looked at combining comedy with FIFA. And so he started doing it, making jokes, being really loud, being really obnoxious in his videos. And that's when he skyrocketed, because he was playing in this industry where there wasn't much competition, right? There was a lot of competition in FIFA content, but there wasn't much competition in the FIFA comedy content. And so when he made that positioning switch, he was now competing one of one. And if somebody wanted to not only watch FIFA but have a laugh, he was the content creator for that. So that blew him up in the FIFA space. And then he then transitioned that into just general comedy, and then transitioned that into rap, and to everything that he's doing today. And so I think a lot of people don't think about that when they're creating their sort of content strategy. And I've been trying to figure out what that is for me. And so, like, again, in the creator world, there's a lot of creators that do deep dives into other creators. There's a lot of creators that talk about money in the creator world. What is something that I can combine with the creator world that I love as well? I thought about like soccer as well as cooking. I think soccer is a little bit more niche. Cooking, a lot of people can relate to cooking. Also, cooking is very aesthetically pleasing if you're shooting it correctly, right, with content. And so I remembered this clip of Anthony Bourdain explaining what a CDO is in The Big Short. Anyone who's watched The Big Short, goated movie. But there's a scene where, again, a chef is explaining this complex financial topic, but he makes it interesting to a broader audience by bringing in the concept of cooking. And I'm like, whoa, what if I did that, but around creator deep dives? And I think there's something really interesting there. I haven't tested out the content. I need to script some stuff up and like get some shot lists and everything like that. But in my head, I'm like, I cook once a week. I can definitely make one of these kind of more complex videos where I combine cooking with creators and see how that performs on social, and then kind of go from there. That promotes the podcast as well as promotes my personal brand.
I love that because people are getting to know you more as you say you cook and have something to look at. And you talk through like a career deep dive. It reminded me of like I think Chloe, she used to do a lot of like watermelon chopping videos. She like chop a whole watermelon and like talk about a story. I really like that. I'm just like she's like such a great storyteller, and I'm like plus that watermelon is just like increasing retention because like it's like she just like slices up and like a whole watermelon. Like I can't even cut a watermelon. He just like tells it like so easily and tell a story. Yeah, and I think the knife in is like a good hook. So just like chopping things up, like boom, boom.
Yeah. Well, because, right, like you get the initial hook by, again, the cooking side of things, because everybody knows what a watermelon is. Chloe is also a smaller individual too, so she's got like this big knife in her hand and she's like chopping the watermelon. So you're like, what is going on? And then she hits you with some career advice or whatever it may be, which is the quote unquote like not as sexy thing to talk about, but she's combining it with this thing that almost anyone can relate to. And I think that's the beauty of it, right? In the career space, if she was just to talk about her career, there's a lot of people in that space. It's saturated. But combining career with food or cinematography or anything like that, there's not that many people playing in that space, which allows her to be, again, compete in a one of one type of category. So again, your content still needs to be good, your storytelling still needs to be good, but you're not competing with as many people. And so I think that's where things start to get really interesting, is when you can combine a few different categories together that typically aren't combined together. And now you're competing with just yourself rather than a cajillion other people that are creating content out there. Again, to our point earlier of like low lift content versus higher lift, this is more higher lift stuff, right? Because you're combining different things. You're not just doing the quick and easy one thing.
I'm inspired to like make running content and telling a story, just like run. and just like, yeah, it's like a POV. It's like people like feel like they're in the room cooking with you. People feel like they're running with me, like hanging out at the same time. Developing that like parasocial relationship, but also learning something new. So it's like kind of like your ears get knowledge, but your eyes get some like a hook, get something to see too.
I think there's something there. I don't know. Like, obviously, running has popped off, right, over the past 2, 3 years or so. I would say with run clubs and everything like
Yeah.
that. But no
Mhm.
one has innovated on the run club, right? And I
Mhm.
think I see it with my friend right now who's absolutely killing it. Shout out to Sam Donner. He's gotten 100 million views across all his platforms in the past month, and he took this concept of a street interview, right? Like nothing new. Street interviews have kind of like been played out, right, over the past couple years or so. And he took
Mhm.
the concept of street interviews, the concept of food, he combined those two together and then also added money on top of it. So the concept overall is going somewhere new and asking strangers to cook for him. So he's gone to Tokyo, he's gone to London, he's based in LA, and he's now in New York. Like he's gone to all these different sort of cities and gone up to a stranger and asked them to cook a meal for him for $100. Or like that's the hook of the video. And people will watch that video to the end because they're like, A, they want to see if the person says yes. Because in their head, they're probably like, oh, I would say yes if somebody wanted to pay me to cook for them. Right. And then obviously you want to see what the person ends up cooking for them at the
Mhm.
end. But he tells the story of whoever he's talking to throughout that whole time. Like he gets to know them more, learns about what they did in their career, all these different unique stories. And he combines that all into one. So again, he went from this very competitive niche of street interviews to not really competing with anyone in that same space because he added a few elements to that storytelling at the end of the day.
I love that. Yeah, I feel like everything in this world is a remix, but turning your own original thing, or remixing it to your own original thing. Yeah, but the street interviews. Yeah, street interviews are so really popular. Like, I'm going to a Figma event tonight. I'm gonna ask people what their salary is again, but this time it's LA edition, and it's probably gonna go viral again too. Like all my street interviews for salaries have been viral. But yeah, I'm curious, like, what other popular formats would you remix for yourself? There's like cooking, there's a running, there's a street interview.
Like I think it's for me again. This is coming from like more of a personal branding standpoint, right? Where it's what content do I pay attention to, and how can I combine that with whatever I'm doing? And I try to take inspiration from like adjacent industries. Like again, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
food has nothing to do
Yeah.
with business,
Um,
but if you can combine both of those things together, it's something really
mm-hmm.
unique. And so for you running, I think other things too is who is the finance creator, right? That can combine finance with running, or the finance creator that can combine soccer with it, right? Because the World Cup is coming up next year. I think there's going to be a lot of hype around soccer. I don't know. I think it's all about again combining different industries that you're paying attention to.
I could draw something and just like talk to people about what I'm drawing, like a story. I'm also curious, like you mentioned to me before, how you're also burnt out from talking about the college niche. I mean, it's been a minute since both of us graduated from college too. How how are you like planning your transition? Because like tell me about like what kind of thoughts and emotions you have to. Because I know we were talking earlier about like how is it crashing out because I didn't want to make design career content anymore, and then you went through something similar with college content. Like you walk me through that process of like doing the college content and transitioning out of it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of tough. Like we both picked niches that we outgrew, so to say, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like outgrew in the way of literally like not being really in that space anymore. So the expertise that we once had, we don't really have as much anymore because we're not in that space, right? Like you went from designer to entrepreneur, and not a lot of your entrepreneurial lifestyle matches with being a designer. Like there are some, right? Like negotiation tips and things of that nature, but overall lifestyle is very different than when you're working a 9 to 5 in the design space. Same with me, right? Like you said, I have graduated from college a long time ago. So a lot of the same tips that helped me, yes, there might be still be tips and like things here and there that still relate to college students today, but I've been far removed from that time. Um, and so like it's been difficult. It's kind of like an identity crisis, right? Of trying to figure out what that next move is for me. I've got some plans in the works. One of them being this sort of creator economy slash cooking, right? That's why I kind of wanted to start this podcast, because I want to rebrand kind of into creator economy overall rather than just being the sort of higher education college creator niche. And I think it's been going really well so far. So we'll see how things go. But it's been a fun thought exercise. What about you? How are you feeling about this transition?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I also want to transition with creator economy, business, lifestyle stuff too. That's why I want to start this with you too. Um, yeah, mine is complicated because I have employees that count on me, and we have people, I have co-founders. So, and then most of our revenue comes from me posting on LinkedIn, my own content, which is really, really, really messy. And um, try not to be TMI on this podcast, but I like it all started with me leaving my job last year at EA. I literally have a business that helps people get jobs, and I quit my job to help people get jobs. And it's just kind of fucked up. um, but I know I also left because I wasn't very motivated anymore. I was at the same company for 4 years, and I was like just not inspired anymore. And for me, it's very hard to be in that kind of environment. So I left. Um, I used to be a high performer, and then they kind of complained to me that I was not the way I used to, because I used to put in like 60 hours a week, so I wasn't that way. So that's why I left, to be honest. I would have just like chilled at EA, um, if I didn't get that feedback. Um, but yeah, and I literally like quit and traveled the world. So, and then now I'm back. It's been 7 months, 8 months. Um, and I was telling you this before, but I guess I'll talk to the podcast too, because I also post this on Instagram, so I don't mind the whole world knowing this. Um, I got a couple of feedbacks. One really stuck out to me. This was last week, and they're saying how Grace, she doesn't give a shit. Now, I'm not saying this word by word, but I can also read it. But basically, the summary is like Grace doesn't care about design education. Grace doesn't care about helping junior designers land jobs. She just cares about her personal brand and content. And that's all my content this whole year. And this isn't the first time I got that feedback. I got this from 3 other people too. And then a lot of my teammates agreed with that, and it made me spiral a little bit, because the whole company is really a big, like 70% of our revenue or 90% of our revenue right now is coming from me posting on LinkedIn about design career stuff. So not only am I doing myself dirty, is like I'm also doing other people dirty by not posting about design career content on LinkedIn. So I freaked out a lot. So I ended up like climbing 1,000 floors on a stairmaster, and like went to the gym every day and worked out like 2 or 3 hours a day, just like think deeply and go to a good sweat out and think deeply about this. Um, and I didn't know like transitioning niches would just like impact so much. Um, but in the back of my head, like subconsciously, I've been doing more personal brand content, starting this podcast, doing more stuff outside of design, because I know it is not my life purpose to help people land jobs. It was sexy, you know. It sounds very sexy to say that. It sounds like, oh my god, Grace is doing so much good for the world. I was like, oh, my ego is so stroked. But at the end of the day, I just want to fuck around. Like, I just want to have fun and like go on fun adventures and run fast, draw cute things, have a cool community, host events. And also reflecting more deeply is I'm still recovering from a lot of trauma I put myself in when I was in college. I feel like I wasted my childhood studying, and I still feel that way. I was a sad child. Like, I didn't really like have a life, or I just like focused so much on studying and running fast. Like, I didn't live life. And I'm still like feeling like I'm making up for that time lost. And that's why I just want to have fun. Because I missed so much of my childhood. doing that. And that's a TLDR why I don't want to be like talking about how to get a job because I feel it's not like me anymore.
I think when it comes to building a company around your personal brand, right? Like that's the toughest thing is the transition around everything. And again, when we were building these things, I think we had aspirations to build it into something big, but I don't think you or I realized the consequences of building something big around your personal brand and like how attached that is to you, right? Again, it's a blessing and a curse. Um, with that though, like what is your mindset moving forward around building things around your personal brand? It doesn't have to be necessarily design buddies, right? Because that's already been built. But let's just say with this podcast, right? Like, are there any things that you're taking as learning lessons into how to build something so that it doesn't necessarily just rely on Grace posting something?
I feel like having different perspectives can help. Like not just me as a speaker, but like us like having guests on because it's all like helping them build their brand, and they're also a part of the community, part of the podcast too. Is involving like different perspectives on, just like me, like having Min on like creating content for us is one thing I'm trying to do, and also like thinking in terms of my personal brand. I kind of like when people ask me what kind of content I make, I tell them I just like I'm a founder. I make content about life as a founder, and that could look like many different things. It could look like the designs I'm making, the business calls I'm having, the creator stuff I'm doing. So I'm trying to like widen my niche because a lot of times, like people will give advice like if you're starting as a content creator, it's apparently good to hyper niche so they get initial following. Because it's easier to grow a following if you have a specific niche, based on my experience and what I've seen other people do. And then once you get an initial audience, branching out, losing some followers along the way, but branching out. So I think I built up a huge following on design, and I think I'm ready to branch out and talk about things that designers are also interested in. Like just think people like old Gen Z wanting to like I don't know, be free. Not be free. That sounds like kind of weird. Kind of like too cliche, but like I'm talking about travel, living life, run club maxing, fitness maxing. Just like thinking about my audience and what else do they care about beyond design. Um, like financial wellness, things like that. That's what I'm thinking about, just like expanding beyond design. Well, I am already expanding beyond design and creating content that I think my audience would also be interested in. That's a little bit parallel to design.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see as this podcast scales and the business that we build off of it. Because I think both you and I have our ideas of where we want our lives to go. And I think the pod can play such a unique role in all of that, right? Of
Hmm.
us getting there. So we'll talk
Yeah.
about it as we get deeper into the growth of how creators make money. We're on the right track with everything. And I think it'll be fun to just basically document as we go. Because that's kind of what we're doing with this pod. So yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about real quick before we
Yeah,
jump?
I agree.
And
Yeah. I'll never stop making content. I feel like I've been making content since I was 13. I can't stop now. I never want to stop because making content is so fun. Um, making certain types of content like design career stuff. I like making content that's like relevant to me. Like I would never be I don't think like it's ever viable to be a full-time content creator because if not, what do you talk about if you don't have anything to make content about? This is the limit I have. So I'm always gonna like be tinkering with something, whether that's like tinkering with growth, talking about growth, tinkering with like running, tinkering with design, um, and talking about that. So I don't see content as something that would go away from me. I love like making friends. Like I think I really value like community a lot and having cool people in my life, and giving making content helps me connect with people and get so many opportunities so I don't have to work a W-2. Um yeah, but I don't know. I just like we were talking about like for a bit before our podcast, just like life crashing out, YC drama. Man. I'll keep you updated on how that goes. But yeah,
welcome to the
any other
world of
topic?
no, that's
Oh,
about
go
it.
ahead.
I think I'm good. I was gonna say welcome to the world of Grace and Justin.
Yeah, I agree. Wait, I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you think about a credit card for designers? That kind of company.
Um, so I think it works. I think you're starting to see a trend happen, let's call it that, of credit cards for niches, right? So you've got Carrot, kind of, right? Then you've got Built, right? The credit card for renters. And then this potential idea around credit cards for designers. And I think it works. Me being a credit card head, though, like of like understanding churning and everything like that, like my brain is so far removed from it where my initial question is like, what's the sign on bonus? You know what I mean? Which you probably don't have as a credit card for designers. But like, it's like, what benefits does it come with? Like, if you created a credit card that was like $99 a year, but you got free Adobe everything, like Adobe Cloud, I think a lot of people would sign up for that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, so I think it all just for me it just depends on the perks that you get. But that actually sounds cracked, right? Like if you got
Oh,
a credit card partnership with Adobe or whoever, and it's like free premium for a year or something like that, or for every time you get your annual fee. I don't know if Adobe would be down for that or not, but that would be really interesting.
wait, that was exactly our idea, actually. We were literally talking about like free Adobe, free Notion, free Framer, leveraging our existing partnerships. Like literally that is our idea. Thanks for the vibe
Yeah.
check. Like,
I think it could work. It's
yeah,
just
we're
like I've been in the
mhm.
finance space and there's so many restrictions and things that you're gonna like come up against, I would say. But if you can navigate those, I think that card could be solid if you get the right partners on it. Again, it's just like you have to figure out what's the
Mm,
pain point, and we've talked about this many times with designers. It's like the concept of paying for things, which I
mhm.
understand, right? So again, I'm not sure they'd be down for a partnership like that, but that's the perk of Built, right? Like there's no annual fee with Built, but you get to pay your rent or you get points on your rent, where typically you would have to pay a usually like a 3% fee to pay with a credit card. And so like that was their
Mm.
big differentiating point. I think if you can build something around that, but whatever that differentiating point is for designers, there's a business there. How big is it? I don't know. Can you get through the financial restrictions? I don't know. But the idea there is solid.
All right, that's what we applied to YC for, actually.
I love it. I love it. There's something there. There's something
Exactly. Like
there.
you literally told me like Adobe. Like we were like thinking Adobe too, like as a perk and like Fitman, like designed for perks. We're doing some discovery work right now. We have a survey getting sent out whether designers are going to use it for their business, whether they're agency owners, like paying out agency, paying out employees, or paying out like projects and stuff, or individual. We're in the process of validating that. So thanks for your vibe check as a credit card, um, credit card, credit card master. I'll say yeah, I only have three credit cards, not as much, but this is
We
good. It's
can
good
we can
stuff.
jump on a call, Grace. You and I will just go through your credit card strategy because there's a lot to be done there.
Yeah, I need to learn so much. Yeah, this is yeah. Thanks for the feedback. This is our podcast. This is building in
Just a pod.
public, and
All right.
yeah.
Appreciate y'all.